Okay, just take a look around. This is called the Multiplex. And this building here is the ARC Research Centre, which is a Darpa research centre. The people who made the bioweapon, the vaccines, are now all working here, the Darpa biolabs. The building down from here is the Health and Wellbeing, School of Health and Wellbeing, that's a joke, paid for by Charles Huang from Wuhan University. Okay, so just take a look around. All these buildings are going up. It's all vaccines and God knows what else. That's the Darpa Research Centre. And I'll go up close. Look at them all. Students. Students don't even care what they're doing. And it's mostly Chinese students and foreign students. They don't let Scottish people into university anymore. Nobody cares. They're all working in that Darpa labs. Next we come to the School of Health and Wellbeing. Okay, the Clarence Peirce building, paid for by Charles Huang from Wuhan University. Okay, now Boris Johnson at the start of this gave Charles Huang, the PCR test billionaire, £3.2 billion for fake PCR tests. Look at the size of that building. It was 50 million for a piece of crap. It's like a Lego building. And then this one too, they're like Lego buildings. This building, the Darpa Bioweapons Lab or Research Centre, cost about 130 million. And these are in the West End of Glasgow. So there's the Clarence Peirce building, School of Health and Wellbeing. Dog's welcome. I'm going to take my dog in there. So basically Boris Johnson, I'm going to sit down for this one because it's quite a long one. Give me a second. I've also just passed, there was an army truck here backing up. I don't know what it was doing. They said they were going to a course, two sort of overweight British Army guys. So the story with this building is that Boris Johnson stole £3.2 billion of taxpayers' money to buy the fake PCR tests, which, in case you didn't know, I'm sorry to tell you, weren't PCR tests. They weren't testing for a virus. There is no virus. It was a DNA harvesting exercise. So if you did take a PCR test, government PCR test, then they have your DNA, and I'd be worried. Luckily, I'm not that stupid. So basically, Boris Johnson gave £3.2 billion to Charles Huang's company. God knows where the PCR test's from, probably Wuhan University. Now Charles Huang's alma mater is Wuhan University, and he also got a degree here at Glasgow Uni. So Mr. Huang has kindly donated £50 million to build a Wuhan labs in the centre of Glasgow. And nobody gives a shit. I've said to a few people when I'm walking past, but it's mostly students now in Glasgow, foreign students. There's about 10 blocks of flats around this area, all inhabited by Chinese students. Now I'm thinking that they're working here, because I can't see any Scots people working in these labs. It's all foreigners. And so the School of Health and Wellbeing, after they've just murdered billions of people with a bioweapon from Wuhan. So basically, here's the story. Charles Huang from Wuhan University is working with Boris Johnson and the British government, and they decide to put all this shit up in Scotland. Well, here's a message for Boris Johnson and all the politicians and all the governments in the UK. Take this shit and take your nuclear weapons and put them in your own back garden, because we don't want this fucking contaminated Darpa bioweapon smart dust shit in our city, okay? So, Hamza Yusuf, please do the right thing and take these buildings down, because if you don't take these buildings down, we'll get people up here and we'll close them down, okay? Because we're not having this shit from Charles Huang and Boris Johnson quid pro quo 50 million building, which is a piece of crap, because Boris Johnson wants to put them here. Now Boris Johnson has just scammed you all, and I've been trying to get this truth out for 2 years. And this is also a message to Neil Oliver and every single Scottish journalist and Scottish activists, and also Alan Miller of the Together Declaration. They've infiltrated all the groups. They've locked me out of the groups and they've taken over. And you think that they would be wanting to share this information, but they're too busy protesting the ULEZ cameras to try and get votes. It's a crock of shit. The freedom movement in the UK is a crock of shit. Nobody's telling the truth. Neil Oliver is a Mason, a Freemason, and he's a liar and a fraud. Wait till you see his history books. So, Boris, Andrew Bridgen, whoever's listening, get this shit off our land. We don't want it, okay? And we don't want the Darpa labs either. So get this shit off our land.